The way,
Elan, welcome,
the way she
welcome,
just hyped me up, I'm like,
welcome.
goodness
I'm gonna need you to
gracious.
know it was not hype, it was just fact telling. It was not hype, it was fact telling. The floor is yours.
I'm like, the way she hyped me up, Lord God, please allow me to come through today. Oh my gosh. First things first, guys. You all are hilarious in this group. Um, you may hear my dog barking. You may hear my son who is underneath my table humming away. Please forgive me. But Lashonda, thank you so much for having me. I was when she first sent me the information of the invite, I was like, okay, girl, you sure? You sure it's me? But just the remembering sometimes that God doesn't call the equipped; He equips the called. So I said, okay, God, you make it do what it do. Bless my tongue, all of that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. As Shonda kind of already said, born and raised in the Bahamas. I'm a speech language pathologist by profession, and that's my son. I'm a speech language pathologist by profession, but more importantly, outside of like professionally, I would just describe myself as a super positive, chill girl who loves the Lord. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit on the topic of grid, grace, and finances. You guys can feel free to jump in, ask any questions. Please know that a lot of my information comes from the Bible, and that's just also from like self-help books. I was in a year-long coaching program that changed my whole mindset. And just different things I've been exposed to. I'll share that knowledge. Anything that has to do with links, I will send to LaShonda for her to share it with you guys. So first thing I want to say is that when I first really sat with the topic, and I'm going to be looking over to the side because I made some notes, great grace and finances, there were kind of like three stories, some scriptures that came to mind, but three of them was like the book of Job. Yeah. And if you guys have ever read the book of Job, and just if you really sometimes just put yourself in that position, it's like I wouldn't be able to handle. I would not be able to handle what he would have went through, right? But in the midst of that, we saw that he held on to faith, right? Even after, people come up and say, okay, well, no, you shouldn't believe in this. You should, even his own wife, right? Imagine the people in your circle. You know how deep in your faith you have to be to allow yourself to stay fully and no, that's not what the Lord says, right? And then the second story or scripture that kind of came to my mind was the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And I think that's such a reflection of what we may have. Some days we may only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and we gotta feed 30 people. And then 30 people may be your mortgage is due, the rent, kids gotta be fed, they need new school shoes, they need a bag, your water bill, your light bill. But I only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. How am I gonna feed these 30 people? Right? And we're gonna talk a little bit about that, right? They need shoes right now. That's what I'm saying. Right now, right? Because our kids, their feet grow and all of these different things. And sometimes you feel like you're stretched very, very thin. The third story that really came to my mind too was Naomi and Ruth. And I don't know if have any of you guys watched the Netflix version by Tyler Perry, which is it's a hit and miss, right? But to me, it was good to see the visual representation of her in the field picking the grapes, right? And this hard work, whereas we see Boaz, who was really showing grace and mercy and so forth, right? Yeah, it's really, really good. I would suggest, reading it, watching it. Like I say, the movie is hit and miss. But I'm going to touch base on those stories a little bit throughout, but I want to dive in. LaShonda sent me some questions, and I'm going to kind of loop it in with my personal story as well. And just to go back a little bit, so as I said, I grew up in the Bahamas, grew up in a single parent household. In my opinion, my mom is the epitome of a woman who had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and was able to flip that and flip it and flip it and flip it. A simple example is my mom built our house. She built a house. And then over the course of 2 years, she built 2 units to it, right? I mean, and it took a good bit of time, but I remember there were times when my mom was out of work, or, you know what I mean, everything just wasn't looking right financially. But thank God we had those units, those 2 units that I think at that time may have brought in like $650 a month. I went to private school my entire life. We went to on vacation every single summer. Every Christmas, my mom would allow us to get either a Guess or a Tommy. Remember Guess and Tommy Hilfiger? Like that was like, you know, in mall at Marathon. And you used to go in your finest clothes when you go to the mall. You remember that? My mom would let us get a Tommy Hilfiger or a Guess outfit every single Christmas. And I was like, how is this now? You know, because sometimes I feel like we do not the Tommy, sometimes we do not realize exactly what it is that someone would have went through until we are in it. So now that we're moms, you know, now that we have our own kids and have our own household, you like, how did this person do it, right? When once again, going back to the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, that's all she had. But she instilled in us from a very, very young age that we could do anything we put our mind to. So when I was in high school, I started selling, remember the Welch's fruit snacks? I started selling Welch's fruit snacks, and I used to buy it from Purity Bakery. And you used to get like the box of Welch's fruit snacks for like $6. I had a pack of 12. So I said, okay, hold up. If I sell each of these Welch's fruit snacks for $1, I'm gonna make $6 per box. So I said, okay, bet. So I took it to my school. I went to Faith Temple, which is now closed. And I would sell my little Welch's fruit snacks. And then I'm like, okay, I started making a little money. Then I started selling the jumbo lollipops too. And I just kept flipping the money, right? Until I started also selling like these little pastries. So I just said to say that from a young age, due to my mom's mindset and what she instilled in me, in us, because I'm the youngest of 3, that mindset of taking little and flipping it into what you needed to become was instilled in us from a very, very young age. So one of the questions that I have here is, what is the financial setup as a gritty woman? And I was like, oh, gritty woman, that's so cute. That should be in a shirt. You know what I mean? I like that. I like that concept, like gritty woman. That vibes with me a little bit. And when I think about it, the first thing I wanna kind of touch base on is that, in my opinion, it does not matter how much money you make, whether it's $1 million a year or it's $20,000 a year. Having a godly budget is super important. And when I say a godly budget, the first thing, and it depends on what everybody believes in, of course. The first thing, when it comes to a biblical standpoint, we should be tithing first, you know, because it says that we should give of our first fruit, right? And I know if you like me, I'm like, how can I tithe when I barely bring in any money? How is this possible? That is the example of us having faith, right? It's the faith that, okay, God, I don't have a lot, but as much as I have, I will give unto thee, right? Not saying give your whole paycheck now. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the 10%, or how we were taught at my church is, you know, start off small. Maybe it was only able to give 2% or 3%, 5%, and then slowly working our way up to 10%, right? Because I think sometimes it's like you go from, it may be difficult to go from 0 to 10, but taking those little baby steps. And then of course, understanding this concept when you're thinking about a budget, that we are not the owners of what we have, God is. We are only the managers. So the job, the money, whatever it may be, we are only the managers of what he give us. Because in a blink of an eye, everything that we built could be snatched away, right? Which has happened to me 2 or 3 times. At this point, I'm used to it. I'm like, okay, God, when it happens, I'm like, all right, now here we go again. We gonna start over again, right? But that's that faith, and that's understanding that in the midst of anything that's going on, you have to have grit. If you fall down 8 times, get back up. And that's what separates the goat from the sheep. How many times are we willing to step back up and try again? The other thing too that I would actually kind of add on to that is, if you guys have ever heard about Dave Ramsey and the snowball effect, he also has something online, the Financial Peace University. I did this maybe like 6 years ago, and it really did make a big difference. And what the snowball effect essentially tells you is that you want to know, for example, if you owe, let's just say you have debt, right? You want to line them up from what you would owe. So let's say you have even as simple as a car payment or your mortgage, you line it up from the lowest to the highest, and then you just start targeting each one. So let's just say, and of course, it's if you're able to do it at the time, but you start targeting. You may make an extra, may add an extra $100 on a payment, right? Which over time has a super big effect, which is called compound interest, right? So let's just say, okay, hypothetically, let's say you decide, and there's someone I'm going to recommend, you decide that you're going to put aside $20 a week, right? Okay, or $10 a week. That don't really look like a whole lot, but at the end of the year, that's a few $1,000s that you would have had. And say you have been doing this for 10 years. That's a whole lot of money. But it's us taking those little pennies, those little coins, and compounding them together, right? So the snowball effect, I would highly recommend with the with University Peace. Also, and I don't, and you guys can let me know. I've been living in the States now for like 15 years. I'm not super well versed, but is there high yield savings accounts there in Nassau or Freeport, or I'm not sure where everybody is from? High yield savings
Yeah,
accounts.
my aunt has a couple, and
Okay.
the credit union, high yield savings, all of those.
Okay. I highly recommend a high yield savings account for your savings specifically, right? Because essentially what that is going to do is that instead of just having your money in a savings account, right, it's just sitting there. It's not growing any interest. By the end of the year, the really and truly sometimes with a savings account, you may have less because the bank is also charging you a fee, right? Whereas if you have your money in a high yield savings account, it's accruing interest every single month. So for example, Ally, ALLY, is the one that I personally use. And it allows you to do round offs, meaning that if you connect it to your other personal bank account, it will round off your like 50 cents every month or every week, right? Whatever you program it to. And like I said, once again, 50 cents may sound like a little bit, but compound over time, that leads to a good bit of money that you may not have had, right? So the snowball effect, high yield savings account. Let's talk about multiple sources of income. Okay, let's dive into that a little bit. And I know that some people may say, okay, well, how do I establish multiple sources of income? Or how do I do this? How do I do this? Let me first say this. Anything you need to start the business you want to start, to leave the job that you're at, if that's what your goal is, to progress yourself in any way, shape, or form, you already have it. And I know you're big. What do you mean? First of all, everything starts in the mind. Whatever you think, you become. And to first start off with that, it's important to always go in the word, right? Anything that you decide that you want to do, whether it's to open up a business, whether it's to become a content creator, right? Which I'm trying to do right now. I'm gonna go into the Bible every day. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna pray, right? Because in reality, the Bible is a blueprint for what we need to do, right? So if we seek him, because we cannot depend on our own understanding, that doesn't really get us far whatsoever. And I always think a little bit of like Samson in the Bible. Samson was the strongest man physically, but the weakest man mentally. And what was his weakness? The women them, the girls them, right? It was the women. He was the strongest man physically, right? But the weakest man mentally. It said that he had 700 wives. That's crazy work, right? Sometimes we have to look at this from multiple sources of income standpoint. Okay, let me give you guys an example. I had a house in South Carolina, and of course in South Carolina, the cost of living is a lot lower than it is, for example, here in Miami. So at that time when I first bought a house, it was about $13,000 for the down payment, which that's all the money I had saved up to that point. And that was like, I had been to school maybe like 5 years at that point. I only had about $14,000, and the down payment was $13,000. And it was a 3-bedroom home, nice backyard, all this stuff. So I went in there and I did it, and we was house broke for about 8 months. And if you know anything, when you first buy a house or you get an apartment or whatever the case may be, you have to have for apartment first and last month, or for a house, it's the down payment, right? And then I sold my house last year because I was praying to God. I said, God, okay, I know I want to move to Miami. I know I wanted a house here, but I did not want to let go of my house in South Carolina because, and this is something I'm still working on, because for a long time, money equaled security for me, right? If my account ain't looking like this, I'm about to freak out. I'm about to crash out, right? For a long time, money equaled security. That was just my mindset. So to let go of my house in South Carolina meant that I was letting go a part of a financial identity for myself, right? Because that was an Airbnb, making good money, paying for itself and paying me a little something, something. And I remember going to church when they say, you know, God, you have to show me, you have to push me, show me that I need to release this house. Y'all ever see that picture on Instagram where it's a little girl holding a teddy bear behind her back? And then like God has like this big teddy bear, right? And I was like, okay. So let me tell you what happened. I got a cease and desist from my HOA in South Carolina because they had found out I was Airbnb my house. I didn't even know I couldn't Airbnb the house. I'm like, this is my house. I can do whatever I want. But HOA has different rules and regulations of things you can and cannot do. The moment I got that letter, I said, God, I thank you. Because that would have been the only way. You know like how somebody will say, you know, nobody could get me off this person. Nobody could get me off that house. But when I saw that, I said, okay, and I'm not kidding you, within 3 weeks, I had that, okay, he gonna make it very clear. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you what's a dangerous prayer. A dangerous prayer is when you say, God, please remove that person, place, or thing that do not serve me. Right? The moment that we, okay, here, baby. The moment that we pray, you can charge it. The moment that we ask God for the things that we want, we have to be very, very intentional about it, because He just may give it to us, right? Or He just may take it away. And so within three weeks, that house was listed. Within 4 weeks, I had that house sold. Because of that investment, you want to stand right here, baby? Or stand over here? Okay, right here.
You take it off.
Okay, no problem. All right, no problem. I don't want to fight. Okay, so because of that small seed that we had sown through God's grace and His mercy, we were able to reap a good bit of profit, right? Baby, I'm on the computer. Can you sit for me? Thank you. Right here. Sorry, guys. Mom life. Okay. Because of that, I was able to reap a good bit of profit, right? I mean, about $90,000 I was able to take home and invest in this property now. And then I also built a tiny house in my backyard. Now think about it. That $13,000 investment, that was all I had, right? That was all I had. That $13,000 investment gave me a return of about $94,000 that I was able to use to invest in this house and build a tiny house that now can also generate income, right? Remembering this, when you're thinking about multiple sources, like I say, use what you have. So whether it's you saying, okay, I want to write a book, whether it's you saying, okay, like one of my friends, she just started cooking. She started selling her food that she makes. She's a bomb cook. And people be lining up for her food. That's her natural talent. She could cook, right? Or let's just say someone says, okay, I want to rent a room in my house. Look around at what you already have to get what it is that you need to get. As LaShonda mentioned, I love rebounding. And recently I said, okay, you know what? I love rebounding, which is jumping on a mini trampoline. I said, okay, I want to turn this into a business. I'm good at it. How can I make that do what it do? So now I'm like, okay, one of the things I'm doing my Airbnb, and this is to really help kind of focus a little bit. I'm going to use my Airbnb from multiple sources. So one, when somebody stays there, that's one source, right? Secondly, I'm also going to rent it out as a creative studio. So it'll be a convertible space. So that means if any creatives in Miami want to use it to shoot a podcast or whatever it may be, they can book that at a higher price or a higher rate. Thank you, Anya. Thank you. They can book it at a higher rate than what I would normally book an Airbnb for. I also am going to offer a Miami monthly experience where if somebody books me for a month, every week they have something included. They get a free week at the gym that I work at. They get I also bought e-bikes, right? So I ordered 2 e-bikes where whatever guest stays here, they can also rent the bikes from me, right? Or another source of income. Try wipe your nose. No, thank you. Or if somebody comes, they want to go to the beach, I rent out the whole beach kit. You know, the big umbrellas, you know, the coolers. Or if you send me for a month, you get that included. That's 5 or 6 ways I just told y'all that I'm able to use one thing for 6 sources of income, right? 6. So think about it like that. You don't need multiple sources of income, you know. You may just need one. Okay, let's add on a 7th one. I'm also creating a course teaching other people the same formula, right? That's 7 ways right there. That's multiple sources of income I can have coming in. The last one, number 8, is I'm going to be hosting private rebounding classes in the back then, offering like fresh juices, all of that. It's an experience. That's 8 ways. Multiple sources of income. Multiple sources of income does not have to be 3 or 4 different businesses, right? It doesn't have to be that. LaShonda, let me give you an example. I don't really show on Instagram, and so sometimes I don't really see everybody's thing, right? But you see how right now you're posting like your clothing? Okay, that may look simple to someone else. That could be Amazon store links, right? That can be brand deals. That can be posting deals, right? That can be a course on how to dress yourself appropriately or how to elevate your style. That could be a magazine. That could be a newspaper. That's 6 right there. I would tell anyone to look around at what you have or what you're able to do. Think about, turn it down please, baby. Think about the parable of the talents. We handing out talents. You gonna hide yours and you gonna multiply it. So somebody may look, and Rashay, I think Rashay and Harry went to school together. Rashay, that's you? Hi girl, how are you? We went to primary school together. And in primary school, I was chill. I think I was a little bit more like reserved, like quiet, all of those stuff. I feel like anybody who knows me in my personal life, and it's not what's what I'm looking for. It's not to be braggish or full of myself. It's God who has given me the talents that I then said, let me multiply. So it's up to you to say, what are the talents that God has given me for me to go ahead and multiply them? My thing is this too. Stop starting and stopping. Starting and stopping. Like, okay, let's think about content creating. Okay, we said we want to be a content creator. Let's give an example of that. You post it consistently and then you not. You post it consistently and then you not. You start and then you stop it. That's how your money gonna be. That's how your motivation. Okay, well, I gonna view you as you inconsistent. Why am I following you? You start and then you stop it. At least give me a little story every now and then. Give me a little story. Turn it down, baby. Give me something, right? And I'm gonna recommend some books to you guys for you to read. Right, I'm actually gonna recommend it right now. So the last thing I want to recommend in financial setup as a gritty woman is use your resources, right? And I'm gonna give a little story too. Use your resources. So the tiny house I told y'all that I built, right? I didn't build that. My mom and her guy came and helped me, right? Because he's a really good contractor. So then on top of that, the guy who built the house that I bought in Miami, we become really good friends, really good guy. So I was like, hey, you got to call. I was like, hey, David. His name is, I was like, hey, David, do you have any recommendation for electrician? Within 2 seconds, hey, done. Use your resources. Don't be too prideful to beg and to ask. You have to use what you have. Who around you is good at tiling, if that's what you're into. Who around you may be good at taking pictures if you want to do content creating. Who do you know? And that's another thing too. Don't be afraid to ask. If you see somebody doing something that you want to do, send them an email. Send them a private message. Hey, and another thing too, whenever you ask someone for something, just good courtesy is to offer something too. So let me say what I said. I was like, hey, so and so, you're really, really good at pictures. I would love if you would be open to so and so and so. I do so and so. I can offer this, or I don't mind paying you for your services. Don't just message people asking for something. You know what I mean? Hand and hand, right. You don't want to just, or even like if someone comes into your DMs and they're like, hey, where you got this from? Well, good morning. How are you? How is your family doing? You know what I mean? No, thank you. No, thank you. We want to be mindful of that, but use your resources, right? One of the books that I would highly, highly, highly recommend from a mindset perspective and the idea of compound interest is The Slight Edge. This book, Jeff Olson, I'm going to pass this down to my son. And hopefully my great-great-grandkids will read this book. This book, The Slight Edge, that will completely change your life. Let me share really quickly in this book. He shares something. He shares this story of these two frogs. And they saw this big bucket of milk. And they was excited. They're like, yo, we gonna eat for the whole day. So they both jump into the bucket of milk. And they drink. What starts to happen? The milk starts to get lower and lower and lower. That means they further away from the top of the bucket. So now they looking up like, how are you supposed to get out of here? So the other frog, they try and they're trying to figure out. The other frog get tired. And he say, no, I'm giving up. I'm just gonna die. And he gives up, he dies, he floats to the bottom, right? The other frog, on the other hand, he keeps going around the bucket, around just trying to figure out. He's like, okay, I can't give up. The moment that he felt like he wanted to give up, he felt something hard and he was able to leap out. What did he feel? What did he feel? The dead friend. Okay. Who else? One more guess. The dead friend. Okay. I like that. That's the dead friend. Any other guesses? A rock. Okay. Because he didn't give up and he kept going around and around that bucket, the milk turned to butter. And so he was able to leap off of the butter out of the bucket. You see how you separate the goat from the sheep? Okay, one frog was willing to just keep trying. He didn't think about it. He didn't know what he was going to do. He was just going to run around that bucket. And the other frog said, I'm going to give up. Some of y'all are the frog that gives up and that floats to the bottom. And some of y'all are the ones that keep going around and around and around the bucket until you figure something out, right? Because think about it, if you in a situation like Rose and Jack from the Titanic, in my mind, I make it out that boat alive. Me and my son. Exactly. Yeah, me and my son, we making it out of that boat, out of that ship alive. A lot of things is mindset. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the last two questions. Right? So one of the questions was, what do godly women need to have in place financially to allow themselves to be brave and to maintain grace? We talked about a godly budget already. Godly friendships. I can't tell you guys how important godly friendships are, even when it applies to faith, when it applies to finances. Think about it like this, right? Top tier, Anya, right? Let's say you're going through a difficult time in your marriage, financially, all of this. The first thing we should be doing is going into the word first and foremost, going into prayer. What does the Bible say? What does his word tell me I need to do? And then if I'm still feeling heavy, for me, I'm gonna call my best friend, right? Who I know, we've been best friends for almost 20 years. I know she gonna go into that word first. She gonna say, Elan, the Bible, the word. You gotta be careful going to worldly friends. Because worldly friends are going to tell you things of the world that aligns with the flesh, right? Yeah, okay. So let's just say, let's just say this guy, he talking crazy, whatever the case may be. Your friend may say, yeah, let's go, burst out his windows, right? Now, I have pulled up one a few, back in the day, but God has delivered, right? But your godly friend is going to say, or hopefully says, well, let's pray about that. They're going to take you from here. They're going to help bring you back down. It's important to have godly friendship, even when it comes to finances, right? A worldly friend may tell you go rob, lie, steal, and kill. A godly friend is going to tell you maintain the faith and lean not on your own understanding. But what does the word say, right? Another thing I think we need to have in place is, and this is just my personal suggestion, is keeping your Bible by your nightstand, right? Before you reach for that phone to check Instagram and to check TikTok, reach for that Bible. Read a scripture or two before you go to bed and at nighttime. And I think you may be thinking, how does this apply when it comes to finances, right? But the reality of it is, any journey that you go on, whether it's for finances, whether it's for fat loss, whether it's you're moving to a different state, whether it's you want to move, get a green card, whatever it is, we must seek the kingdom first and what his word says first over anything, right? So another thing too that I would highly recommend, and since you guys already have that for financial to have in place, is a Christian group. That needs to be a priority that you meet. Nothing should come before meeting in a group of godly people every single week, really multiple times a week. After I'm done with this call, I have to run because I have to go to my young adult group that we meet every Tuesday. I don't feel complete if I miss that Tuesday night because we're so used to establishing the community where we talk about finances. We talk about how God used money. We talk about figures. We talk about, okay, what are our goals? The last thing that I have here for which I will have in place, I'd highly recommend it, is a mastermind group. If you guys have ever heard about a mastermind group, 10 out of 10. I did a year-long coaching program with Bob Proctor. His name is Bob Proctor. And the reason why I picked his group, his coaching program, is because it's also rooted in the word. Like throughout his coaching program, it gives you scriptures and so forth. Now I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit pricey. But I want to say this: be mindful of what you will invest in, right? So when I say that, we would eat out 2-3 times a week. We would buy the nicest of clothes. We would do all these things. But when it comes to investing in ourselves and in our future, we're like, oh man, that's too much. You got to decide what's going to be a priority. Remembering that the decisions that we make now will impact our kids. Turn it down, baby. Will impact our kids and their kids, right? That's something we have to decide. What is going to be the focus? Do we want to focus our money and invest our money in eating out and this or that, or do I want to invest it in a book? The Slight Edge, I bought that book, I think for maybe $15. That book helped me to make, at a certain point, my business was making $25,000, $30,000 a month. God, mindset, and you have to put it into action. One thing that you're going to see as you're elevating yourself, right? And I would highly recommend watching some of these success stories. There's even this show on Netflix called Chef's Table. And it's about these like very influential chefs, and they share their story. Remembering that too, everybody has a story, you know. Everybody would have come from someplace. So having a mastermind, joining a mastermind group, I would highly recommend, and making sure that it's a group that is like, maybe you're in it for like 6 months and then switch to a different mastermind group. Because what happens in mastermind groups, it starts to become a little bit like plateau. And then you should try to be in a mastermind group with people, and this might sound bad, but people who are doing better than you. And the reason I say that is because you want to feel inspired, and hopefully they are also Christians as well. Because having, like, personally, I have my therapist is a Christian-based therapist. So when I go into a session with her, she gonna tell me to pull out that Bible and pull out the word, you know, and let's go deeper into that. So a mastermind group, in my opinion, is very, very helpful. I'm gonna share a quick little story. I'm gonna probably stay on for another like 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and do your thing. 6 months ago, I have a private practice based in South Carolina. 7 weeks ago, I had to lay off my entire staff, right? A business that has been successful for 7 or 8 years at this point. My entire staff, I mean the best employees, the most loyal. And that decision came because due to the Medicaid cuts, Medicaid has been denying clients left, right, and center. Some of these clients have been with us for 5-6 years. The amount of shame and guilt that came with that, not only towards my employees, but also my family. Even though the reasoning for the layoffs was not my fault, you still feel a level of shame and guilt. Okay, like, like, how did I even get here? And you know what I realized too in that moment? I was aware that the Medicaid cuts had been persistent. But because I was trying to lean on my own understanding, I was using my personal savings to pay salaries. Until my account was, I had used $22,000 of my personal savings to cover salary. You know, after I made a decision, the next day I felt a level of burden and freedom. I don't even know who I am anymore. I feel a level of free, right? Because the reality of it is this. When we are trying to lean on our own understanding, we like, okay, well, let me get up earlier. Okay, let me save more money. Let me work 3 jobs. That's leaning on our own understanding versus, okay, well, let me go to God and ask him to show me what it is that he wants me to do. Is this the right path he has for me, right? Maybe we're trying to make a square fit into a circle when that may not be the path. And to sum that whole thing up, we have to master the art of pivoting. The art of pivoting. Okay, I tried A, that didn't work. Let me go to B. Okay, B ain't working. Let me go to C. Okay, C was doing well, but it also failed. Okay, let me take what I learned from C and apply it to D. Okay, D looking good. Okay, D working, right? We have to master the art of pivoting. The business was successful for 7 years, but it was also in South Carolina. Your girl live in Miami. I live with the amigos and the chicas and the senoritas now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's time for me to move my business here. It's time to let go of that little teddy bear for God to allow me to have a bigger one, if that is his goal for me, right? The last thing I want to touch base on is when it comes to the mindset, money mindset, in regards to a gritty season and so forth. This is the thing that I want to kind of summarize and end with. Think about the book of Job. And Lashana, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Bible, it does not say the time period of when Job was going through what he was going through and when he was restored. That could have been 10 years. That could have been 2 years. That could have been 6 months. It doesn't say the waiting season, right? Because we like things to be Amazon quick, 2-day delivery. You cannot sow and reap in the same season. Ooh, my God. My God. But think about it. We want to. We want you felt that? Come on. We want that if we start a business today, it bringing in $30,000 by next week. It don't work like that. You may sow a seed and that may not produce that good Haitian mango. Y'all ever had a Haitian mango? Y'all ever had a Haitian mango? Oh man, aren't they amazing? Anyway, so let's just say you plant, isn't it the best? Anyway, let's say you plant a seed. You can't expect, Jai, no thank you. You can't expect, baby, no thank you. Shh. We cannot expect that seed to start producing tomorrow, right? So the mindset, keep that in mind. Also keep in mind this. Yeah, the small little steps, and that's what the Slight Edge books talks about as well, is the small little steps that you take every single day, right? So let's just say you're starting to walk, then you start to jog, then you start to run. That's creating momentum. But you wouldn't have gotten to the run if you didn't start to walk, right? Also keeping in mind, the way that a lot of people get financially, experience financial freedom is because separate, of course, God and seeking him first, but also it's money at work, you know. Think about it like this. Okay, let's say you was cooking, like my friend, she's cooking for people, right? There's only so much of hours you can put in a day. that means that you are in a box of how much money you can make, right? So let's just say you cook in 20 hours a week. That's a box of, you're only going to make as much as your 20 hours of work. Okay, but money at work, right, is this. Money at work may be, it's money at work and it's people at work. You can hire somebody to work for you, right? The ultimate goal is that you want to be making a little bit of money while you sleep, if that's possible, right? So like I mentioned with the Airbnb, that's 8 ways that money is going to be at work with one source of income. Okay, as a content creator, you may start having, I had a brand just sent me a rebounder, and they said they'll pay me 10% of whenever someone buys the rebounder. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, that 10%. But that's okay for now. I know I'm still a baby content creator. But as I get bigger, I need my money. I need them dineros, them Benjamins, them francs. I like, you know, I mean, and don't get me wrong. It is not about money, right? Because as we know what the Bible says about money being the root of all evil, right? The love of money. Remember that it's the love of money. The goal is that I want to be able to give back to my church, right? Even more. I want to be able to tithe more. I want to be able to one day have a little tiny house community, right? That the less for whoever can be able to buy or rent, right? So it's what you decide that you want to do with it. But money has to be at work for you. Like I said, you just working, you're going to burn out. You're going to get tired. You know, you can get, sickness can happen. Your kids can be sick. You may miss like 3 days of work if your kids are out sick, all of that. But it's if the money is still at work, are things still jiving without you always having to be there. So somebody renting my Airbnb, thank you, Jai. I'm going to pay someone to come and clean it. I don't even have to physically be in the country or in the state for that Airbnb to keep doing what it do, right? Number 2, when it comes to mindset, the power of I mentioned this before, but the power of the talents. Are you going to hide it? Or are you going to multiply it, right? Using what you already have. Like, let's just say somebody in here is a therapist or a doctor. Can you maybe create a course? Can you maybe write a book? My sister, when my sister was in medical school, she shared a lot about how it was so mentally draining for her, and like she went into a depression, just not what a patient be. And I was like, tell you, like, one day, why don't you even consider like sharing like more about your experience, maybe to help somebody else as they are now going through medical school. That could be a business right there in itself, right? So the last few things I have is this quote that I think really stuck with me, and it says, "Go as far as you know how to go, and when you get there, you know how to go further." So you'd be saying, okay, but I don't know how to start a business. I don't know where to start. Okay, but what do you know how to do? Do you know how to put pen? My mom would say, put pen to paper and write out your plan. Do you know how to ask someone else? Okay, hey, I saw that you guys did so and so and so. How did you do this? My best friend Carla, growing up, I called her my rich friend. When I would go to Carla them house, they would have the pallets of food. I never saw nobody have pallets from Miami of food, and like they would have like the Costco size and the sun, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're rich, right? But what I remember, I asked her dad one day. I said, how did you become so financially well off? And her dad owns security. Like he's a big company that does like security systems. And he was like, well, you know, you guys gotta, and like he just kind of told me the whole little blueprint. So my thing is to go as far as know how to go. When you get there, you know how to go further. If you only know how to get to A, when you get to A, I'm telling you, God is going to send people, places, things that can help you to get to B. That can help you to get to C. Jai, no thank you. I knew nothing about the house buying process when I went to South Carolina. Y'all know what I did? I went to YouTube University and I was like, okay, What do I need to buy a house? What do I need to do? Blah 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 blah. Now we have ChatGPT. ChatGPT. How do you? I'm not kidding, y'all. Do you know that ChatGPT gave me my whole blueprint for my Airbnb? The entire thing, right? I said, okay, I want to do so and so, and it gave me the blueprint. Use your resources to go as far as you know how to go, and then you keep going further. The last two things is keep learning, right? I mentioned to you guys that my mom is the one that kind of built the Airbnb. As she was doing it, I was watching her as she put the sewer line in, as she did the water line. My mom built these stairs, and I was just watching. Okay, as simple as changing a doorknob or a door handle. Do we know how to change a tire? Do we know? My mom did the sewer line. My mom built bedroom bed frames. My mom built the you know what you put a sink on in the bathroom. She built the cabinet for that, right? My mom's from Lutra, real island woman, right? The best cook, make the best bread. But I said, you know, at this point, I want to learn that. I don't want to have to keep calling a handyman when I could do certain things myself, right? This summer, I'm going to be volunteering at this nursery because they grow all of their fruit trees in big pots, right? Multi, right? They grow all of their fruit trees in big pots. My yard isn't that big, but I would love to have more sustainability, like a compost bin and this and that. So I'm going to volunteer with them 2 days a week for 3 hours. That's free labor they're getting from me, but I'm learning how to grow and supply my yard with my own food, right? Continue learning. Or I want to enroll in a technical school this summer as well. While my son is going to be with his side, I want to learn a little bit more about like how to change, how to make certain things. We can't never stop learning and growing at any particular age, right? Yeah, remember when I grew those potatoes, Ashonda? The sweet potatoes, you remember that big bucket? Did I give you some of them? Oh yeah, I think it's important to, like, if you can grow your own food, you know, grow it. The last thing too, I think I already noted this about not needing an understanding and the art of pivoting. And just to close out, I have started over so many times. So many times. I've had businesses fail. I've had my account be in -0, -$10. I've had overdrafts. I've had so many different things happen, right? But because, and this is what I would say too, is that I may cry today, but I'm going to cry, I'm going to read the word, I'm going to pray. And tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm going to say, let's go. Let's make it shake. Especially when you have a kid. Especially when you have kids. Especially when you have people depending on you. Think about it, y'all. But think about y'all who have kids. When you could be in depression. My son, I'm hungry. But baby, I'm sad. I'm depressed. I want McDonald's. They don't care about that.
They don't care?
No, they don't care, baby. They don't care. So my thing is that
Burger King, they don't care.
Yes, baby. So the idea is that you have to keep picking yourself up. Keep picking yourself back up. Try again. Option A didn't work. Try option B. Okay. You don't wanna be living in this particular state or place. Okay, well, what you gonna do to get yourself out of it? The last books, baby. The last 2 books I want to recommend. I already said The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Also highly recommend by T.D. Jakes, When Women Pray. This book, he explores 10 women in the Bible who prayer changed everything. So there's people in there like Hannah, Ruth, I think the Good Samaritan. Okay, baby, the Good Samaritan woman. This book 10 out of 10, highly recommend. The last thing I wanted to kind of touch base on is this. It's a 10-week course, and it's I did it through my church, and it was excellent. It's called Rooted. And I can send you this link, LaShonda, but we did this as a group. It was like eight or 10 of us. We did it for 8 weeks, and you were only able to miss 2 sessions. It goes in depth. It's deeper than a Bible study. It goes in depth with how God used money. It talks about how we should treat others. It's a practical way of kind of breaking down the Bible into functional bite-sized pieces with how we live now. And the last thing too I want to just kind of add on that I see that I noted is 2 practical things. Is one, you can still maintain your lifestyle standards without breaking the bank, Okay, y'all comment on my nails, right? At the beginning of this year, I was like, okay, I have to cut back. My money is not flowing the way it used to. So I said, okay, let me go back to YouTube University and teach myself how to do my own nails. So when I tell y'all, I bought all of the supplies, as you can see right here, the everything that the girl told me to do from this YouTube channel, I did. Now, these may look okay from from far, but up close, you gotta squint one eye, and you know what I mean? They may look, but I did them. Right. And my thing is, Jai, no thank you. I did them. And also the thing about trying something is you want to give yourself almost a year. Okay, baby. Okay, I'll get it for you.
My teddy bear.
I'll get it. Learning a new skill and just continuing to practice it, because it might look crazy now, and it's very therapeutic. Oh my gosh, it is very therapeutic. Like, you almost want to put your phone on do not disturb and just do your nails. It really is. But I'm saving a lot of money. So that money that I would have took to get my nails done, I'm gonna put it into my high yield savings account, right? Also, when it comes to budgeting and paying your bills, I recommend having one designated day a week where you budget and you pay all your bills. So for example, let's just say something is due next week Tuesday. Friday would be the day when I budget and I pay that light bill for next week. So if somebody, even when my business was at its highest, they already knew, don't ask me for nothing that the company needs until Friday. Ain't no money coming out of my account until Friday, right? Also, cash envelope system, 10 out of 10 recommend. And I think that's it for me, guys. Thank you all so much for having me. If you guys have any additional questions, anything I can give you a little bit more support on and give you more direction on, let me know. You're so welcome. Thank you guys so much. Let me know. And the book for I'll send LaShonda the Rooted information. But it's actually by multiple people, so I'll send it. I'll send it in an email for you guys to have 10 out of 10 recommend. But again, if there's any way that I can ever assist, help with anything, if you guys ever want to like play off some ideas that you're thinking about and need just like an accountability person or just more support, I can be more than willing, because the people that came before me that helped me, or like for example the Life Key Foundation, they gave me a scholarship to go to undergrad. Just little, if you could help somebody else help you help somebody else, you pay it forward. So thank you guys so much. Sending you guys all thank you guys so much, sending you guys all an abundance of love, support. I'm actually gonna do a special prayer for you guys tonight. You're welcome. Just know that whatever dream or vision you have, it's never too late. You could be in your late 70s and go back to school. Anything that you ever need, want, and God has it designed for you, don't ever look at somebody else and say, oh, I wish I had that what they had. Ask that person what they did, pray about it, and put in the work. So tomorrow morning when y'all wake up, reach for that Bible and start making it do what it do. Make it do what it do. Whatever it is that you want to do, start writing it out. And every day taking small steps to get there. Okay? Perfecto. Okay, perfecto. Thank you again, LaShonda. I'm gonna jump off the call, guys. Gotta run. But LaShonda, you can give them my email, my Instagram, whatever, anything that you guys need. If I'm able to give any direction, I'll be more than willing to do that. Okay.
Thank you so much, Elan.
Thank you.
Many blessings to you. Enjoy small group, girl.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, girly pops. That was such a good time. That was such a good time. Y'all let me know how y'all felt about it. Let me know, let me know, let me know. I think one of my favorite things, like I said about Elan, is she is that one person because I know her personally. She's of course shared so many things with me, and she's like, girl, I want to buy a Bronco. Next thing I know, being like 9 months later, my girl pull up with a Bronco. Okay. She's like, girl, I want to eat this way. She goes and gets the books, the information, and she automatically starts putting stuff to work. She told me she wanted to do Bob Proctor's coaching 6 months before, and she shared with me her savings plan, which she's going to use. I think it was almost like 10 grand for the year-long program with Bob Proctor. And the savings plan, the way she broke everything down, one thing I love about her, her superpower is making things chewable, making it edible, making it digestible. So if you want her email, need her email, you reach out to me and I will give you her email. And what I love about her, she manages being busy so well. She manages being busy so well. And you can see she had her baby with her in the room with us. So, of course, thank you all for the grace. If you have kids, then you're accustomed, or if you're a teacher, you work in education, of course, you may be accustomed to the wild sounds of a child. But I also want to thank everyone else for the grace that was extended so that she can come in and teach us right where she is in the true condition of her life with her baby and her dog, and having her own stuff to do. But she is an incredible, incredible woman. It is because of her that I got super serious in my weight loss journey and my fitness journey. And she has really encouraged and built me just in small conversations. So, just trying to review some of the things that she said. She said, first of all, we need a godly budget, okay? You need to be giving. And I love that she also mentioned, like, you may not be able to start at 10%. When we were with Armored Army and LaShawn Holland came in, Lachelle did the financial class, and LaShawn Holland came in. One of the things LaShawn shared with us is that I think she said she and her husband only had an extra $30 out of their budget. They didn't have the 10%. They just had the $30, and the Holy Spirit told them to give that. And they gave that straight for a year. They gave that straight for a year. They did not have 10%, but they gave out of what they had. And I love that because it's a reminder that God honors what is given sincerely, even if it's not you obsessing over the standard, right? You're obsessing over the bar. It has to be 10%, it has to be 10%. And God knows you don't have the full 10%. You got to pay your life bill. You got to pay you barely, the bills are barely on time in certain contexts and certain seasons of life. And they gave that $30 and God expanded and enlarged them. I think she said it was a 5-figure check that they got just even by the end of that year. She said, godly budget, high yield savings account, snowball effect, tithing, know how to make one thing, 5 things. I really, really like that. Know how to make one thing, 5 things. And that's how even she did when she was my son's SLP. I paid her, well, the insurance company paid her to help him with the lisp that he had. I didn't even know it was genetic. She told me it's on the mother's chromosome that she gives the child. And I didn't know you could actually work it out of the child if you catch it young enough. But she worked with us. But also, I paid for her to train me on how to be, parent training. That's what she called it, parent training. So I saw her from the very beginning turning one thing into two things into three. Yes, I love that, Anya. That point of not waiting until you're in perfect standing to start. Like, we just get out there and practice. Do what you know how to do. We're talking about grit. We're talking about running on and seeing what the end's gonna be, but you actually gotta keep moving. You can't like, oh, just do the one thing. And I'm guilty of this in so many ways. I just realized I'm still recording. I didn't